Today, my guest is Jon Robert Bradford, CEO and co-founder of Colab.la, a top venture studio. So far, Jon and the squad of Colab have incubated and advised or invested in over 100 companies with a combined raised capital of $400 million, which is pretty staggering, and a combined valuation of over $2 billion. Jon, would I be right in saying you're the guy if somebody wants investment in that startup?
Sometimes I'm definitely the guy that maybe knows the people to help, bring in the capital. But an important part of my business in particular, especially given the ongoing hands-on role that we expect to play with businesses, is to really kind of date before getting married. I usually figure out something, we call it a discovery engagement, although it's taken many different forms across different things. Some sort of consulting engagement just to kind of prove that the business or the founders are really bought into the concept. They're willing to spend some nominal, amount of money and give us the chance to evaluate working with them, and equally give them the opportunity to evaluate, working with us. If things go well there, yes, we can definitely be off to the races.
Cool. But so what does that first date look like? I mean, how do you start that conversation?
Yeah, usually, I guess something that I feel like I know better than most founders is what the investors are really looking for.
Okay.
In terms of wanting to put money in. And if this were 5 or 6 years ago, that was as simple as a pitch deck, right? I would say in today's climate, they're looking for a bit more. Some sort of proof of concept. Doesn't necessarily have to be the whole MVP, but usually we work with people for about 2 months to kind of prove a hypothesis and develop some collaterals that we think are going to be most instrumental towards achieving an agreed upon next milestone. And more often than not, that next milestone is to raise capital so that we can engage in a more meaningful long-term way. However, so for that, yes, pitch decks, financial models, all those things are still largely done. But we're definitely doing a little bit more than just that to kind of prove out that there's a need for a business to be there.
So in terms of like MVPs, do you help build out the MVP, or would you expect them to have the MVP set up, proof of concept? Do they need to have any users?
Yeah.
What do they need to be?
So I would say 95% of the things that we do are ideas on napkins. They don't even have a name yet.
Seriously.
Yes, yeah. So we've really kind of tried to establish ourselves as the go-to place for serial entrepreneurs to do their next thing. And, these are people that more so understand the pain and the work that goes into building and maintaining a team, and the fact that we have such a diverse team of various skill sets that are of the highest caliber available is incredibly attractive to them, because they already know that the best way for any business to succeed is for them to specialize in what it is that they do best. Especially if they're of this typical sort of serial caliber that we tend to most commonly work with. So that's sort of kind of the niche in terms of who we've catered to, and family offices as well. Like, they're looking for innovation partners and people to really execute on things that they think should exist. And we've come up with a way to partner so that we can align our upsides and mitigate their exposure and risk, and really hopefully create a meaningful win together.
Okay. So in terms of your introductions, are you constantly scouting for the next big thing, or how do you do that through networking, or do you have your own network of people?
Yeah, networking is I feel like a massive, part of my job. I have actually been away from Los Angeles for the past 4 months now. I'm in Cincinnati right now, and because of that, networking has been a little bit more challenging, just given I'm not in my typical environment. But I am starting to figure out that too, and I will be back in LA eventually as well.
On the white horse.
Yes, exactly. I'm looking forward to it. But That being said, having the established network definitely has helped and been sort of the baseline, for things at this point in our career. But it's also turned out that people that we've worked with in the past have introduced us to other successful people that want to start their next thing too. And occasionally, there's even people that come in through the website that are interesting. But there's lots of stuff coming at us to sift through all the time. And I spend a lot of time doing that and qualifying and taking calls and learning about, what's going on and seeing where it is that we could fit and also saying where it is that we can't and telling people when we're not the appropriate, solution for them too.
So it's a good question after that, I suppose, that explanation. What makes a good founder for you then? What kind of person are you looking for? And what kind of team? How big does a team need to be for you right now?
Yeah, so we're incredibly people centric with our approach of everything, both, figuring out who we want to work with as well as how we build our companies. That being said, the main question that I ask myself when considering something is, why is this person or why are these people more qualified to execute on this concept than if my team and I were to just do it ourselves, right? Because, more often than not, they're coming at us saying that we are kind of the missing link between what it is that they need and what it is that they have. And that's awesome. That's what we want to be. But I really want to feel like we're enabling and catalyzing, what was already hopefully going to be a successful outcome anyway. And that is because of the superpower of the folks that have already assembled, the business to its current form.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, going back earlier, we mentioned about, doing the whole marketing thing and just writing the idea down on there. But is it helpful if they have, if they have built it out and they have got clients and they've got customers and it's working? Or is that not helpful? Because would you rather get in there right at the beginning and go, look, we need to do it like this? It's sort of like when you get to work on a website and it's already done and it needs loads of SEO background work doing and you just got to undo it. Do you feel like
Yeah,
that? Fine?
yeah. So I would say that, as we got started, we were definitely focused on the earliest of stages, if that makes sense. That being said, we're usually most effective when we're engaged somewhere between 6 months and 2 years. I
Yeah.
would say that's when we've been able to have real lasting impact. And it also used to take 6 months to really validate new tech companies, when we were getting started. And that's turned into a much faster pace, process. So we still do that. However, it's harder for us to be able to demonstrate the long term, lasting impact when it's more than just, proof of concept stuff. So we have started to branch out into doing some later stage stuff and even working with corporations, large Fortune 500s that are looking to outsource innovation initiatives as well. And that seems to fit into the similar sort of kind of cadence of almost like sprint structure for the thing that it is that we do. And that's made a lot of sense. However, we've also figured out how to start doing more simultaneous early stage things at once than maybe we would have in previous times. And that's also because of the nature of just being able to know a lot quicker whether or not this is something that we might pursue.
So, given that this is an AI podcast, how excited are you about this whole gold rush, if you like? Is it a gold rush or is it all hype? What are your thoughts on where this is going?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's just the beginning, but I also think that the next phases will come quicker than any of us can probably predict. Not tomorrow, but will definitely come quicker than maybe I would be comfortable saying, on here. So, yeah, I think it's great. I will tell you one little prediction that I've had for a long time, and I think it's really starting to come true right now is that, I've always said that there will be one app to rule them all, right? And obviously, we know the players that we're looking to buy the other players and sort of line things up, that way. But I noticed quite a while ago that the only app that I see where the other apps are lining up inside of it as icons themselves is iMessage, right? And sure enough, ChatGPT has clearly sort of, I think, set the standard for what all interfaces are going to look like, in the near term future. There's no need for innovating some sort of different experience, beyond that, at least for its basic form. So yeah, like I'm really interested to think about how all these apps are going to be rethought inside of that, and how they're adjusting that, and how applications are going to work with and inside of each other, much more than I think ever before as well. And, really exciting times, but a lot of problems to solve too, because it implies some major, updates on infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they even ready for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Are they? I mean, I know Mr. Zuckerberg is after creating an agent, he wants millions and billions of agents everywhere for every kind of aspects of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, speaking to lots of small businesses, they're struggling to even understand how to use one agent for
Right.
one business application problem. And it's all the technology's there, but the mindset is still very much pre-tech in a way. Some businesses are still using paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can we bring them up? How can we get them to focus on how this can help them? I just don't think it's been very clear so far for businesses.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got a lot they got to figure out too, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I just saw today what Bill Gates predicted, that medical can largely be, taken care of by AI within 10 years, was what he was saying. And I don't doubt that. Okay. I think that actually will be true. But that being said, there's a lot of people that paid a lot of money to be able to make a lot of money, and there's implications on that. And insurance is a big business. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're not just going to want to flip the switch just because
Yeah.
technology is capable. They're going to want to make sure that it all makes sense from them from a practicality standpoint. I mean, super obvious thing, like, how many times have you paid a lawyer for a very similar piece of paper to what you've needed before, right? Like,
Mm.
not in their best interest to adopt AI because it can probably quickly do a lot of those things.
They are so reticent. You are so right. I
Yeah,
mean, just had a conversation today with a guy, and he was saying, "Well, I've been trying to break into law. I've been trying to get into the law market," and he said they just don't want to know. Do you know that they close ranks?
yeah.
How long can they hold out for, though, John?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what it'll be is and that'll be interesting actually. Like, everybody's thought that startups as a whole have pertained to people in tech, right? But
Yeah.
like, I think that tech is everything, now.
Mhm.
And I suspect that there will be a group of people that come out of law school, that are like, hey, the jobs aren't the same, they're not paid as well. I got to figure out a new way to do this if I want to make a career, out of this. And whether they have created like highly efficient firms where they can charge rates that are just more competitive than anything else, or they build something that helps bridge that gap, for the incumbents, or something like that. That'll be cool. That'll be interesting to see. And certainly a group of lawyers have gone out and started business before, as with any,
Yeah. They want to do it.
yeah.
It's kind
Another sort of litmus test that I have of things is like how much time it takes between I adopt something and when my parents do, right? Like, my parents have been on Instagram and Snapchat now, and all those things, but it happened years or months, later, depending on the platform. I think probably years later though, in most, right? Like, this
of,
Chat GPT, they've been on within 6 months of when I started using it. Like, people are curious and checking it out fast. And the other thing that's nice is, let's say you don't check out ChatGPT, you check out one of the other ones first. Going back to that point of the interface, it's all really the same. We're familiarizing people with technology beyond just a platform at a very fast pace.
I think it is phenomenal how fast it's going, but even we know what it's capable of. They're holding things back. I
Yeah,
mean, they're holding it back because we're not ready for it, and we know that. But kind of looking at the way people adopt it, I've started to use chat now for search. I can't be bothered. Google does not give me the right answers anymore. It
Yeah.
doesn't give me in-depth. It doesn't talk to me like a friend. Chat talks to me, and I'll say, look, no, you've not done that properly. Can you go and look back in your vast archives
Yeah.
data and
It,
give me the correct answer, please, because this is
yeah.
not good enough. And I'll get the right answer eventually. But I get frustrated with Google now, and I think they really need to look at.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like I agree. I'm surprised that there isn't a more prevalent solution, out for them. Obviously, I see it in my responses, from Google at the top now, but they have to have the data. It must just be a matter of figuring out how to train,
Yeah,
the
why
set
they
that they
dragging
have.
that? Yeah, why are they dragging their feet? But I've just got a couple. Well, one kind of question, a closing question. It's advice, really, because there's a lot of business owners that this will be going out to, and they struggle for investment and they struggle to understand how to get in front of people that can help them. And also, I think they struggle with the confidence and understanding, are they good enough to pitch? Do you have any specific advice? Could you give them one or two pieces of advice when approaching an investor, or how would you suggest they go about?
So the best advice that anybody ever gave me as it comes to when it comes to fundraising, and I've said this to other founders, I don't know how many times, but when you're going out to try to get money and meeting with investors, uh, ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money. I really found that to be like a great thing to keep in the back of, your mind. And that being said, like you have to take a lot of meetings sometimes before you find the right connection, and that's just the name of the game in doing some of these things, but which can be defeating, to founders as well sometimes. And I would also say that no investor is ever really saying no. It's more of a matter of not yet, or not now. And it could be some matter of traction that you achieve with your growth or revenues or user base, whatever, that triggers that. It also could be that you got somebody else to say yes first, and now they want to come in as a result too. So I would certainly cycle back through the lists, as well, beyond just adding them to my investor email updates, etc. And yeah, like take a pragmatic approach. Don't reach out to every investor at once. Reach out to 5 at a time. Try to pitch consistently. Think about what was said and how to adjust it before you reach out to the next 5.
And so, in just as a finishing comment, what do you want to achieve by the end of the year? How many startups do you want to have helped to get investment?
Yeah, I would say we're in a bit of a transition, mode ourselves. And in the past, we've only done like 2 or 3, new companies a year. This year, again, with like the rate of technology and whatnot, I expect us to probably end up trying things with closer to like 20, companies by the end of the year, but also, killing ventures probably faster than having done so in the past too. So that's sort of the quota that I have in mind right now, and probably looking at like a dozen things a day and the consideration for that right now. So
I thank you so much for spending some of that time with me today as well.
sure.
I really appreciate it. It's been great chatting to you.
Yes. No, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And if anybody feels like I could be of help, feel free to reach out. It's Colab.la, and my email is Jon, Jon, at Colab.la.
Thank you so much, Jon.
Thanks, Claire.